Hi, it's Alaska Granny. I was thinking about some items that I wanted to make sure I had in my prepper pantry and my food storage stockpile. Items that I want to make sure that I have plenty of. We're heading into dark winter. We want to make sure that we can hunker down if we need to. If it's too cold, if it's too stormy, if it becomes unsafe to go out, then we can have the things that we need to keep our lives running smoothly. So I like to continue to add to my prepper pantry. So the first item I made sure I bought more of was some canned meat. I like chicken, so I bought some of that, but you can find canned meats in all kinds of varieties. Everything from chicken, beef, pulled pork, all kinds of fish. There are many types of canned meats. I like to walk up and down the aisle. If I see something I haven't tried before, I take one home and try it. If I like it, you can go back and get more. Don't load up on something you haven't tried in case you don't like it. You'd rather have your prepper pantry food storage stockpile filled with foods that you do want to eat. People leave comments, oh, if the only thing you have left is lima beans, you'll be happy to have it. In my opinion, there is no reason to find that lone loathed can of lima beans if it isn't in there in the first place, and instead I had a can of something that I wanted to eat. And that's how I look at it. I want my prepper pantry food storage stockpile full of foods I want to eat. Load up on canned vegetables. They're easy to open and eat right out of the can if you need to. They're also versatile that you can add them into all kinds of soups, stews, casseroles, and make a meal a little more nutritious. Don't be worried about the salt factor. You can find them with no salt. You can also drain them and rinse them, and then that is going to reduce the sodium content. Not all canned foods have a high sodium content. The high sodium content is going to be more the prepared foods like corned beef hash or maybe beef stew. Always look though, if you're concerned with sodium, it's listed on the nutritional label. And remember, we do need salt in our diet, so on an average day to day, everybody does need some. So make sure you're getting foods that do have some. Also make sure you have a supply of canned fruits. They come in a lot of varieties, but I've noticed they're not as readily available as they used to be, and they're far more expensive. I try to buy these that are packed in water or juice instead of syrup, but sometimes the syrup is all you can find. It's also nice sometimes if you want to make some sort of a dessert or a popsicle even, you can drain off that juice and serve it. The one canned food that I have had problems with lasting the longest is canned fruits. I've had them explode, bulge, leak in my pantry, and so I try to make sure absolutely that I rotate canned foods along the guidelines of the date on the can. It's a best by, use by, sell by date. Many foods will last long past that, but I have had a lot of problems with fruit, and so I'm very much more concerned and conscientious about rotating my canned fruits. That's one reason to have dried fruits, and you don't have to worry about the cans leaking, bulging, exploding, and the food being wasted. But you still need to continue to rotate the dried fruit as well. Also, make sure that you go down the tomato aisle. Get lots of canned tomatoes, tomato sauces, tomato salsas, tomato ketchup. There's so many things made out of tomatoes that are really delicious, and they're a great way to add a lot of variety into your foods. You can use tomatoes into beef stew, you can make it into chili, you can make it into pasta, and all of those are a different flavor profile that can keep your meals interesting just by adding a few other ingredients and spicing it up a different way. If you don't have an ample supply of dried foods like beans, rice, pasta, oatmeal, get some extras of those, pick them up, store them away in an airtight container for them to last the longest. And remember, all of the food that you buy is food you should be willing to eat, rotate, replace. So buy foods that you like, learn how to use them, combine them into other meals. Then you'll have an ongoing supply of food that can last for quite a few years, and it isn't going to be expired because you didn't rotate it. So use, rotate, replace for the best way to have your food last the longest. Craving chocolate and not sure how to make it last the longest because chocolate just is something that won't last. We can wish, hope, and dream and try to store it to last, but it doesn't really work because it contains so many natural oils. pick up a container of cocoa powder. This can last a long time, and you can find a few recipes that you can make the chocolate things that you want. It'll require a little more effort than just tearing open a chocolate bar or a bag of chocolate chips, but guess what? You can still have the chocolate that you want if you have this in your pantry. What are some other items to buy before they're gone? Think back to the last few winters. Maybe you had problems getting cough syrups, over-the-counter medications. There were a lot of problems finding the medicines that we wanted. So I specifically got an extra bottle of cough syrup. That's something that I tend to need to use. I've also have checked on my stockpile of over-the-counter medications to be sure I have plenty, and that's something that I advise you to do as well. Especially if you have young children, make sure that you have the children's remedies. Those were critically short in supply last winter, and you could go to the pharmacy and it was completely wiped out. It's not necessarily a good idea to start fiddling with adult doses trying to get your child to feel better and treat their symptoms. If you are concerned, please check with the pharmacist at your drugstore, because they can absolutely give you some great advice to help you figure out how to face these challenges. But if you think about the challenges beforehand and you prepare, then it won't be as critical issue that your child is sick and you're unable to find something to help them relieve their symptoms and help them feel better. Get the soaps that you like, whether it's for the bathroom, for the kitchen, for laundry. Stock up on any soaps that you're running low on. And then yes, it's always a great idea to make sure that you have plenty of Kleenex, that you have plenty of paper towels, and that you have plenty of toilet paper. Then you can have these things we just rely on. When I was young, I always believed love means you never run out of toilet paper. And boy, did I know that my mother loved me, because we never went without. And no one in my family ever went into the bathroom and there was none to be had. They might have used up the whole roll, but there was still going to be plenty set aside somewhere else. That's one of the lessons I gave my children and some of their friends when my son was in about 6th grade. There were a bunch of them over at the house, and I noticed that the toilet paper was gone. So I gathered all the kids into the bathroom and I said, I have something very important to show you. I took off the paper roll. I showed them how to remove the cardboard, how to replace it, and put it back. Is there anyone now who would like a further explanation on how to put on a fresh roll of toilet paper? And I never had that problem again in my house. So these are the things that I'm advising you to make sure that you have plenty of, so that you don't run out. All of these items have been hard to find in short supply in the past, and many of them are available readily today. Think about how hard it was when we couldn't find those things. Don't fall into normalcy bias. Everything is fine, nothing will happen ever again, and then you're caught off guard because you just chose not to prepare. Don't be that person. Be that person who is prepared, who's ready to face the future, smooth the way, so that every day can be the best it can be. That's what prepping is all about. Lifestyle insurance that every day can be the best. That's what I want, and I would hope that you'd want that for yourself as well. I hope you'll like my video, share my video, and please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.